What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Boys Do Sports. Today we got our Week 10 waiver wire episode. We're going to break it down like this. We got injuries, then we got our waiver wire, then we got some streaming defenses, some droppable players that are rostered in way too many leagues. So let's get into the injuries. That's a long list. We'll start with the biggest one, Tucker Kraft, torn ACL, out for season. That hurts any fantasy football player that had Kraft on their team. Next one, Jaden Daniels. Elbow, it was gross. If you've seen it, you know it. He's not expected to miss the whole season, though. But if they're out of playoff contention, I just don't see any reason to rush him back. Like, he needs to put on some weight anyway. That elbow, his arms are just skinny. I don't know if that mattered or not. But they just dropped to 3-6 and are on a 4-game losing streak. He's expected to miss like 4 weeks. So that'll put him into like week 14 because they have a week 12 bye. That will put them with that schedule in between there with Marcus Mariota at like 4-8. And that's pretty much out of playoff contention. So even though he doesn't need surgery, I just don't see any reason to bring him back this season. And it's not even on his throwing arm, but I just don't see any reason. Puka Nacua went down with a rib injury. Probably going to play next week. He's tougher than hell. Brian Thomas Jr. went down with ankle injury. Unknown. Nobody knows what's going on there. Aaron Jones, shoulder. Expected to play this week. Matthew Golden, shoulder, day-to-day. Kayshon Boutte, hamstring. Going to be out a week or two probably. C.J. Stroud, Cole Kmet, Dami Brown, and Xavier Legette all went out with concussions. Samaje Perine, high ankle sprain, is going to be out a couple weeks. More work for Chase Brown. Ollie Gordon, ankle injury on Thursday Night Football, day-to-day. Luke McCaffrey, collarbone, probably out for the rest of the season. So we'll see if we get Terry McLaurin back soon. But no Luke McCaffrey either, so it's just Debo. We got 4 teams on bye this week. We got the Bengals, Chiefs, Cowboys, and Titans. So 3 high-flying offenses and the Titans. So we'll get into our waiver wire pickups of the week. But first, we need to check for guys. Go look them up on the waiver. See if you got Trey Benson, Harold Fannin Jr., Troy Franklin, Kyle Monangai, and Josh Downs. Go check for those guys. They're all in that 50 to 70% rostered. Very good pickups if they're available. So we'll get into our first tight end because Tucker Kraft went down and Colston Loveland had his breakout. So with no Luther Burden and Cole Kmet left the game with a concussion, Loveland scored 30 fantasy points. There are several juicy defenses over the next couple weeks as well. So he is probably a starter going forward. If Cole Kmet, he's played part of the game, but Colston Loveland was still doing pretty good before that, I think. Next is Parker Washington. Travis Hunter got put on IR Thursday or Friday. Brian Thomas Jr. went down with an ankle injury. And over his last 2 games, Parker Washington has 19 targets and 3 rush attempts. So he will be the wide receiver 1 if Brian Thomas Jr. does miss time, even though I would not recommend starting him next week against the Texans. Another tight end to help with that Tucker Kraft torn ACL, Luke Musgrave. The door is now open back up for him. Also, Golden went down, so that might help with more work for Musgrave. The Packers got to figure out something with this offense, though. They need to figure it out because Tucker Kraft's been playing his ass off, and they are still struggling to move the ball. Next, quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. I'm shocked. I'm just shocked. The weapons are elite, and he has rushing upside with 2 rushing touchdowns in his 3 starts, and he has some nice matchups upcoming for the quarterback-needy teams. Next is Alec Pierce. He is second on the team in targets over the last 3 weeks and is averaging 11 fantasy points per game without scoring a touchdown this season. Anytime the Colts are in a shootout, Pierce is liable to have a nice fantasy output. And over the rest of the season, there are plenty of shootout opportunities for the Colts. Another wide receiver, Christian Watson. If this man could stay healthy, he would be a top wide receiver in the league. I was looking back at fantasy points scored, and back in 2022 in his rookie season, there was a stretch there where he scored like 6 or 7 touchdowns over a 4 or 5 week span, was averaging like 25 fantasy points per game. If we could see that again, that'd be wild. But the re-breakout is coming soon. Like I said, Tucker Kraft out for season. The other deep threat, Matthew Golden, hurt his shoulder. He is day-to-day, but we'll see how that goes. And there are several shootouts on tap for Green Bay upcoming. A couple more tight ends for the Kraft managers. Mason Taylor, he's one of the only pass catchers on the Jets. Juwan Johnson, he's had at least 10 fantasy points in each of the last 3 weeks. And Theo Johnson, 5 touchdowns in his last 6 games. So he is also the only pass catcher that is reliable on the Giants. I wouldn't even call Wan'Dale Robinson reliable anymore. All right, we got some droppable players. Rostered way too many leagues. Matthew Golden, it's just not going to happen this year. Kendrick Bourne, the fun is over. Jonnu Smith, why is he still rostered in so many leagues? I put him here every week. Jonnu Smith, still way over rostered. I don't even think he's the tight end you want in Pittsburgh. But either way, Christian Kirk, Alec Ayumanner, which hurts my soul. Jamir DK, which was on my waiver wire episode last week, sucks, but this Titans offense is garbage. Just like the Texans pass catchers, the only one you want is Nico Collins. And then Michael Carter, who I don't know if he even played a snap tonight versus the Cowboys. And Amari DeMarcado may have led running backs in snap percentage. Streaming defenses for Week 9. We got the Browns versus the Jets. Then the opposite of that, the Jets versus the Browns. It's going to be a rough game. Bills versus the Dolphins. Panthers versus the Saints. And Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Not a lot of great streaming options this week, but go get your defenses, get them lined up, get them ready to go. But yep, guys, that is all for the waiver wire video. We'll be back for our game picks.